This is the Dove Lady. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my thoughts about the Mandela effect. I do believe it is real. And the reason I believe it is real is because I know that we live in an illusion. Only we're part of it, and so we don't see it that way. But we're going to have to learn. I mean, a lot of people have hinted at this and outright said it. I've read it in a lot of metaphysical books that I read, that there's no past that can't be changed, and there's no future that can't be changed, that really we live in the now and everything is happening all at once, and that we're all one. All those things are hard things to take in, and I understand why. So I want to read you just a little bit of what I've copied from the book by Walter Russell, The Secret of Light. And I entitled this little excerpt I took from it, Why We Are Thoughts. And this is now begin. The time has come in the history of man's journey from his material jungle to his spiritual mountaintop, when it is imperative that he must live more and more in the cosmic light universe of knowing, and less in the electric wave universe of sensing. Man must know the universe of God for what it is, instead of what his senses have made him believe it to be. Also, he must know that this forever creating universe, which seems so real to him, is but a cosmic cinema, conceived by the master playwright. It is but an electrically projected, spectrum-colored light and sound wave motion picture play of cause and effect, thrown on the black screen of image, space, and time. The cause is real. The effect is but a simulation of the reality. The self of man is cause. His self-creating body is effect. God's universe of magnetic light is static. God's perpetually creating electric wave universe of two moving lights is dynamic. Static means it doesn't move, but dynamic, it forever moves. The two moving lights are projected through each other from the static one to create the illusion of the ideal they but manifest. The illusion which manifests the ideal of creation through seeming motion is not the ideal which it seemingly manifests. Creation is the product of mind knowing, expressed in form by mind thinking. The product of mind is not the ideal which it simulates. No ideal of mind is ever created. It is but simulated by form and motion. Ideal is eternal and belongs to God's still universe of knowing. Form of ideal in matter is transient, but is eternally repeated as transient form of ideal. Parts of the one whole ideal are only seeming. There are no two separate or separable things in the universe. There is but one whole simulation of the one whole ideal. Everything that is of everything else that is. All things are indissolubly united. And that was God's words there from the Divine Illiad, which I read that book on my channel in case you want to hear it. The entire universe is one and must be kept in balance as one. Changes of condition in any one part are simultaneously reflected in every other part, and are sequentially repeated in it. Say thou these things in words of man's knowing, for verily I say, I am within all things, without all things, and involved in all things. For I am everywhere. All things are omnipresent, for all things extend from mind of me, and I am omnipresent. All omnipresent things are omnipotent, for I am within them, and I am omnipotent. When man's consciousness telleth him of my presence within and without him, he will then know all things, for I know all things, and I am he. All thinking things manifesteth all power, when consciousness within them recognizes their omnipotence. Until then, things are naught but things, manifesting me not, being but blank slates upon which to write my mighty thoughts for blind eyes. For I am omnipotent. I give all power to him who asketh, but no one may ask of me who is not aware of me. See thou to it that man well knoweth that, and manifest thou thyself that principle of power in thine own works. For I say to all the image forms of my imagining, that power lieth in them, to manifest the balanced light which centereth them, by making the one light appear as two unbalanced lights which interchange sequentially but equally. And again I say that all things which man senseth are but waves of dual light, which record my electric thinking in the image forms of my imagining. And also I say that the image forms of my imagining have no being, for I alone have being. Now, before I read any more, I would like to say that our scientists that study the quantum world are beginning to see the truth of what he's talking about here. There are many studies now of consciousness and that consciousness is what creates. This world we live in is illusion. It's a holographic kind of illusion. Sensation and consciousness. Oh, there's going to be some dogs come in the room. Let me shut the door. God is consciousness. Consciousness is static. Consciousness is the knowing of mind. Knowing is static. All creating forms in this thought universe of God's imagining are built in the image of his imagining, created in his image. All forms in this creating universe of imagined forms are but electric recordings of God's imagining. They have no existence. Records of ideal are not the ideal they record. They have no substance. They are but black and white lights of sun-centered wave fields of space, assembled in vibrating systems to simulate substance in an objective universe which is not, but seems to be. God's imagining never began and will never end. It was not created at some remote past time by some vast cosmic event, as commonly believed, nor is it condemned to a heat death by expansion into nothingness. This is a creating universe, not a created one. God did not begin to imagine at some fixed time, for time does not exist. The light wave universe, which records God's knowing by his thinking and imagining, is as eternal as God's thinking is eternal. Then he goes on, as I got from another part of the book, talking about the mystic. The mystic is one who has attained cosmic consciousness by a complete severance of the seats of consciousness and sensation. He is then almost totally unaware of his body and is totally aware of the light of God centering him. Omnipotence comes to him in that timeless, blinding flash of light, which is characteristic of a complete severance. The experience was described in the Illumination of St. Paul. Every timeless flash of intense inspiration which comes to any man is a partial illumination. For inspiration is the manner in which all new knowledge comes to man from the cosmos. Of all mystics, Jesus was the outstanding example of all time. He was the only one in all history to have known complete cosmic conscious unity with God. And I want to add something here because I have read the Bible many times, and I know that Jesus prayed that we would be one with God as he was one with God. The Bible refers to cosmic conscious experience as the illumination or being in the light or in the spirit. In all history, less than 40 cases of partial cosmic consciousness are known, and probably not more than 3 of these anywhere nearly approach the complete state of illumination experienced by the Nazarene. Cosmic consciousness is the ultimate goal of all mankind. All will know it before the long journey of man is finished. But there are many in this new age, just dawning, who are ready for it in part, if not fully. Many desire it fully, but it is best that it come bit by bit, for the complete severance is very dangerous. The ecstasy of this supreme experience is so great that one does not wish to come back. The power of severance of soul from body is within easy accomplishment, but to step back into the body is very difficult. The way to gradually attain cosmic consciousness is to intensify one's conscious awareness by much aloneness and companionship with God while manifesting Him in every moment and in every task of life. Moment-by-moment companionship with God brings with it so great a realization of oneness with Him that the transformation into that full realization of unity is apt to take place at any time. The deterrent to cosmic consciousness is the feeling that God is far away instead of being within, and that we can reach that faraway God only through sources outside of ourselves. He who would interpret the rhythm of me in art must walk his path in ecstasy, undiverted by deviations, that he may see me only and hear naught but me. Say thou to man these words: I am the source of inspiration. To him who seeketh inspiration through me, I say, learn thou to walk my path strongly in the light, for in the dark thou canst not find thy way to me. The path to me is light, and by it thou canst well see thy way to me. I am the soul of art. To him whose soul would touch my soul and feel the heartbeat of its mighty rhythm, I say, insofar as thou knowest thyself as light, shalt thou know me as light. I am beauty. In beauty must man be born anew. Through beauty must knowing man become ecstatic man. To him who would add ecstasy to his knowing, I say, seek me in truth, for only in the rhythm of truth shalt thou find ecstasy. Verily I say, the creations of ecstatic man are my creations, for they are balanced things, and I am balance. To him who wouldeth create unbalance, I say, untruth exists not in my house. I alone hold balance, and the eyes of those who see through me are immune from all but balance. For I am balance, and I am energy, and I am rest. I am the light of love and truth. Upon that foundation have I laid the cornerstone of my universe. All knowledge exists. All men can have it for the asking. It is within man, awaiting his awareness of its all-presence. Knowledge cannot be acquired by the brain from without. It must be recollected from within the consciousness of self. Gradually dawning conscious awareness is but gradual recollection of the all-knowing which has always been within man. Man cannot acquire knowledge from books or schools. He can but acquire information that way. But information is not knowledge until it is recognized by the spiritual consciousness of man. Just as food is not nourishment for the body until it becomes a part of the bloodstream. Information gained by motion of the senses must be returned to the stillness of the source before it becomes knowledge. For the same reason, man cannot acquire knowledge from the so-called facts of matter, for there are no facts of matter in a universe of transient matter in motion. All matter in motion is but a series of illusions which deceive man into drawing wrong conclusions. It is impossible for man to draw right conclusions from his observation of matter in motion until he has acquired the ability to translate dynamic effect back to cause. This he can do only through decentration to the one light of his conscious awareness of the source of all knowledge. Until he knows the why of effect and its deceptions, he has no knowledge whatsoever upon which he can rely. He has naught but unreliable information. Information concerning the body, for example, does not give knowledge concerning cause of body or of the body's relationship to the universe. Information of birth and death of the body, on the assumption that the body is self, never can lead to knowledge that body is not self or that self is immortal. Nor can information concerning the material body alone, its chemistry and its functionings, heal the body. Bodies manifest life, but life is cosmic. Life is not in the body. Life is spirit, and spirit is still. Life is not chemistry or germ of matter. To heal the body so that it can manifest life of the spirit self of the body, one must give the unbalanced body the balance of the spirit. Knowledge of the light can alone do this. All the information in the world will not heal a body unassisted by the light in him who heals and in him who is being healed. I am the light, but the light which is me is not the sensed light of the sensed universe of my creation. I, the Creator, think. I think in two lights extended from the one light of me. Yet those two lights are not me, nor is my thinking me. Verily, I say, I give of me, and I take away, for I am the imaginer who builds image forms to tear apart to build anew. I am thinking mind, forever thinking the changing image of my unchanging self. My image changes ever with the changing of the two lights of my thinking, though I myself change not. All things change, and their changing still images me, yet they are not me. And this is all that I have on this particular document from The Secret of Light. But I wanted to say here, there was a part I read where it explains like this, like if God were a recording machine, a phonograph recorder. He plays the records that are put on the phonograph, but he is not that the records play. But without God being the recorder on which to play those records could not exist or have any kind of sense of being a simulation of a simulation of what they are not, but only seem to be. Time and space are not things that are real, but we think that time and space are real, and they are used in our universe, our 3D universe, to create a place where we can learn how to develop those parts of ourselves that aren't really tangible either. Things like love and courage and the ability to come up with a good idea under extreme circumstances, or just learning from going through things that are hard and learning from them. And a lot in this book, God talks about decentration, and what I have discovered that decentration must be is this. I have an example. When you concentrate, you're really thinking hard, or what you're trying to remember or learn. But that's not what decentration is. So the other day I was watching a movie called Alice Through the Looking Glass. And I was watching it with my daughter, and I was thinking, wow, this scenery is so, and then the word wouldn't come, the descriptive word for what that scenery looked like to me. And I thought, what's the word I'm trying to think of? What is it? I mean, it looks unreal. It's beautiful, but there's a word for it. And I started going through A, B, C, trying to figure out what that word was. And finally I said, I just give up. I want to know it and it'll come to me. So I quit thinking about it. I quit concentrating. And I kind of had a knowing that it would just pop in my mind, because this sort of thing has happened before to me, and probably to everyone that's hearing my voice. It's when you quit trying to think of it. You haven't rejected it as something you want to know, but you just put it in your mind in such a place that it'll just pop into your mind, which it did, and the word was surreal. The scenery in this movie the scenes were so beautiful, it was surreal, and I couldn't think of the word surreal. But it came to me. But it didn't come to me because I concentrated. It came to me because I decentrated. And I think decentration is just a trust that what we need to know will be given to us, even if in the moment we don't know. And all the concentration we can do wouldn't get us any closer to knowing. So we just let go of it and let God. And the thought will come to us at the right time that we need to know it. Now, that wasn't real important that I needed to know that word. It might have been some other thing that I was forgetting that was of more importance. But it was the same deal. It was the same thing. It was letting go of concentrating and trying to force your memory to give you that word. So he talks a lot, Walter Russell does, about decentration. And I personally am very happy about the Mandela effect, because I see it as the workings of some force that's greater than we can imagine, because it can go back and change the past. And I'm watching now as certain ones on YouTube who have been really heavy into saying what all the changes are getting attacked by those who say, no, the Bible hasn't changed. The Bible cannot change. It's God's words, and He protects His words. And in spite of them seeing and those scriptures that are definitely changed, I mean, I do know that my King James Version of the Bible always talked about don't put new wine in old wineskins. And now my King James Version doesn't say that anymore. It says don't put them in bottles. New wine in old bottles, which makes no sense, because it was the action of the fermentation of the new wine in an old wineskin, which had already stretched to its limit, that would cause the wineskin to burst and spill out the contents and ruin the container. Only now it says bottles. And I don't think they even called anything a bottle in that day, or had a concept of what we think of as bottles. And there's just so many more that I could give you a few of them. But what I'm seeing is that a lot of people haven't really even read their Bible as good as I have. And I don't read it much anymore. I used to read it when I believed in it more so. So when they come up with these things that are changes, I kind of know which ones aren't really changed, like this one woman who puts in there, oh, the word witch was never in the Bible. Yeah, it was. That's why a lot of women were burned at the stake, because the Bible says, let suffer no witch to live. And she said, oh, God never said, I am that I am to Moses. He said, I am who I am. And I thought, no, you're wrong again. He said, I am that I am. And she said, and Jesus never said, resist not evil. And I thought, oh, well, I'm not listening to her anymore, because she's wrong on more things than she's right on. Although she did point out a few that I didn't know were in there, and I looked them up, and I agreed with her that they were changed. Things like in the Lord's Prayer, it's always been trespasses, the one in Matthew, but now it's been changed to debts and debtors. And I've seen people try to trick you up and say, well, you're just thinking of the New Standard Version or something. No, I've only ever read the King James Version of the Bible. And I don't find it in that Bible anymore, anywhere, where it says trespasses. It's just gone. It's missing. It's like the past has changed. And so there's infighting amongst some of the more zealous of the Christians who are so sure they're right and others are wrong. And some think, well, no, the Bible can't change, and if you say it has, you're evil, you're playing the devil's game. You're bad if you see the changes. So I'm just looking at them, they're inviting and thinking, well, they're either going to learn from this or they won't. But if they had read some of the books that I've read, they would realize the past can change. And we're needing in this age to learn things about quantum mechanics and about string theory and about a lot of things that may be true of our universe, at least to give them a hearing and not just dismiss them without even considering. Because I think that we are information, that our thoughts are like a language that is coded, and people have always used thoughts to influence other people. That's what advertising is all about. But the thing is, with all that's happening in our world today, with this Mandela effect and this election where we have Trump for president now, we cannot let it turn us into people who are bitter at one another, who are mad at one another, who will fight with one another. We cannot let it do that to us. Let's just love everyone and think that the best of everyone and believe for them to do the best thing. And this is the Dove Lady. That's about all I have to say. And if you want to hear me read this book, I read pretty many all of Walter Russell's books. I read the Divine Illiad I, the Divine Illiad II, The Secret of Light, A New Concept of the Universe, The Universal One, Atomic Suicide, and that's about it. He has other books, though, I don't read, but some of the main ones I do read, and the Universal One is very good if you have a scientific mind, although I have to say I didn't understand after it got into really high science. I kind of got lost. I read it anyway, because some people will understand that, but if you're a scientist and you want to think in a scientific way, the Universal One is one of his books you might be interested in. Anyway, I will put some of those books in the description bar so that you can click on my link to the playlist for it if you want to hear them. This is the Dove Lady, over and out for now.